with Lindy Kyzer. We are in San Diego, beautiful San Diego. We're hiding in the shade because the sun is coming out, beautiful weather. We were here last year. It's nice. You planned for the correct dates.
The Lord provided, because again, my ability to pick the calendar dates is not good.
We have your kids hiding in the room behind us. They're being well behaved while we film this. I love that. I've told you like twice now, when you bring your kids to your conference. I absolutely love it. And I want you to know I mean it.
Did you notice? So several people said that. So I brought my kids to Connect West last year.
Yeah.
Did you notice how many kids are at Connect West this year?
I did not miss it.
And so I just feel like that is like those like tiny cultural shifts where you don't and I get it. I'm cognizant of I have friends who don't have kids, can't have kids, don't love kids being around. So I think you have to be respectful of the room that you're in. But there's also things like if you're at a reception on the beach, man, this is prime spot, and we don't have to hide who we are. We're whole people. If you're attending a conference and you have kids, what I loved about this conference is the ClearanceJobs people that came, several of them brought their kids, and now they're staying for the weekend, right? Or they're staying and they're investing time in their family. And that's the culture that ClearanceJobs has that I love, to say hey, yes, take the weekend. Yes, bring your spouse with you. Yes, bring your kids to a work event, and then let them come to the reception and see the people you work with, because our work is so important. And in national security, it's so all encompassing. And so being able to balance and have kids there and enjoy that time. I loved that attendees brought their kids this year, other people. Pretty soon you're going to be bringing your baby to Connect events. Katie's got to come out. She's got to experience the magic. So.
Yeah, but you because it's bold, right? You're the leader, you lead your team, and you're I'm bringing my kids, right? And that's amazing. You stepped out in faith, you were bold, and look at what look at the fruit that it's born. I was funny. That it hit me when we were going back into our room the first night, and one of the guys at the conference, I haven't met him yet, but he was down here by himself at the reception, and then he walked up, and then he opened the door, and he was bringing his cooler in, and his whole family was going crazy in the room. And I was like, that's awesome. I've worked conferences for a decade, and you don't see that. You don't see that. For all the reasons people think, right? It's hard, whatever, but I love that you have cultivated that culture, and so quick too. Over a year, I feel like.
Oh, and somebody said that too, somebody who has not attended Connect, and they're like, wow, I feel like I built my career thinking I had to hide the fact that I was a parent in order to succeed. And I was like, that's a terrible, and it was a dude who said that, right? So if sometimes we make these problems be it's a woman or a man, but no, guys feel the same pressure to feel I have to be all in at work, and I can't take time, away from my kids, or talk too much about my kids, or involve my kids. And so, he was like, wow, this is kind of refreshing. In a national security focused conference, no less, that people are it's a very kid-friendly environment.
Yeah, and I think I'm thinking of Sue Gordon in the doc. You saw the part where we talk about her family, and she was forced to one extreme, which is hey, I'm going to quit because I want to put my family first. But I feel here, you're creating a bridge where you're hey, they're a part of the community, they're serving in their own capacity, let's bring them in and let them be family, and acknowledge that we have families, and make sure we remember that as we're serving, I think you're just kind of creating that bridge where it's okay. You're hey. Anyways, I love it. And I honestly, when we create our video this year, I want to find tasteful, subtle ways to be it's a family-friendly event,
Look at all these. Well, and it is, because we talk about it being a community at ClearanceJobs. We say ClearanceJobs is a community. What does it mean when we say that? We are a community of people bringing their whole selves and involving their whole selves. And if you have kids, giving the balance. Because why are we doing all this, right? Why are we protecting this nation and this country? We're doing it for, broad America, right? Old people, young people, everybody. I mean, you can bring your grandma to the next conference too. I don't care. Bring all. I just love it when we see what we're working for. I think that makes everybody. We say we're mission focused, we say we're people focused. Who are those people, right? They're the people in our lives. That's who motivates us, right? We can have a broader, like, I'm fighting for, patriotism in America, and that's true, but you're probably fighting for your kids, your nieces and nephews, the people that you think of. You're like, hey, I want this nation to be strong for the next generation, for the people that follow. I think that's motivating, and keeps me more focused on what I want to do and need to do. And I love working too. So for me, if you really love working, but you also really love being a parent and being a kid, like having kids, like how delightful is it that you can blend the two? I don't have to be like,
well, being a kid too, Lindy.
I am. I was like, I might not have misspoken. I was like at the thing. Did you notice the thing at the Iron Butterfly where I was? What did they say? What did Katie? Remember what she said? Gosh, I forgot.
When she talked about your sequence,
apologizing. No, like, and she was like, she is
unapologetically.
She said she's apologetically herself, and Carmen was like, it still works. I was like, thanks for calling me out, Carmen. I do both work. I'm both unapologetically and sometimes apologetically myself. And sometimes a very big kid.
Yes, I remember that. I do remember that.
It's like, come on, Carmen, calling me out.
Carmen's the best. We had a blast with Carmen.
Carmen is brutal.
Yeah.
Like in a good way, but like she scares me.
Yeah.
Is that a legitimate fear? I have a legitimate fear.
Because she's so observant and she's analytical about everything, and so it's like when she talks to you, it's an analysis on something.
Yes.
Like she's already.
Yeah, I'm scared to open my mouth. That's why.
She's already written a memo in her head about like what she's about to tell you. And you're like,
spot on.
I feel that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Let's before anything happens and the podcast gets cut short because somebody comes out here. But listen, we're here to talk about your book, right? You've written a book.
I did. I wrote a book.
You have a very large family. You are leading a team for ClearanceJobs, and somewhere in between the madness, you found time and energy to write a book. Why? How?
It's not as hard as you think. I mean, people who have written books say that. It's more of like the discipline of like sitting down and writing. What do they say? Like the average book is between 30 and 80,000 words. So you can literally like do the math and split that out and say, hey, I need to write, between 500 and 1,500 words a day for however long it takes. For me, it was just, it was an evening exercise, right? And I always usually have evening laptop time, right? I put my kids to bed. I'm going to get on the computer. Typically, I'm doing second shift for ClearanceJobs, and even a friend of mine was like, you've wanted to write a book, like there's a need, like you should write about the clearance process. Just start taking that chunk of like 1 to 2 hours in the evening, and if you wrote every night for a stint of time, you could have a book about this process. And I was motivated by the fact.
Who was that friend?
Who was it?
Can you mention them, Ish?
I don't know, but several people said that.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm not going to call it. Other people are like, you work too many hours for ClearanceJobs. You need to like find a hobby. But it is just pivoting your time. Like we all have time. It's just a matter of like what we want to spend it on.
Yeah. Is that the airport or is that the naval base?
That's got to be the naval base.
That sounds like
right?
the naval base. Yeah.
If that's the airport, I don't want to be on that plane.
Yeah,
that was
flying. That one's flying to India or something.
That's intense. And so it was motivated by the fact that I get so many questions. I mean, my social media inbox, and I go to conferences. There are people kind of like pulling me aside and being like, "Hey, I have a question." Usually they're embarrassed to ask their security officer or somebody else. And I was like, "Oh, if I could have a written resource." Now we're getting all the sounds.
That's all right.
Community. I was like, if we could have a written resource that kind of unpacked some of this process, that talked about the security clearance, I think it would be useful. And so for me, I am all about useful content, right? Everything we do at ClearanceJobs is all about useful content. This seemed like useful content, and so I wrote the book.
Were there things like, because obviously, it required discipline, like a commitment, daily, weekly, whatever, to get to the end of the book. Did you have things that motivated you, like hard days where you're like, okay, despite not wanting to write, I am going to push forward, And like, what was it that kind of kept you going to finish?
I mean, I love to write. So for me, writing isn't hard. I think the hardest part about publishing a book is you're putting something out there with your name and you're presenting yourself for judgment, right? Like somebody, my biggest fear in writing the book was that somebody was going to read it and say, this is wrong, awful, stupid. So that the vulnerability piece of doing that and saying like, I'm claiming to be an expert, which is always hard. I feel like I'm the everyman. I'm the every kid of things, right? I always like even refer to myself as like a trusted outsider. I don't always have, I'm not inside of government, right? I operate outside of government. So to say you're an authority on a process that is inherently governmental and to write a book about it, that was my hesitation as I went along. But then the motivation still went back to that whole like, this is useful. This will help people. I love to see new people find their start in national security. The security clearance remains a barrier for a lot of people who just don't understand it, get confused by it, have questions. So like if I can answer some of those questions in a useful way, like absolutely I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. It's fun to have a book with your name on it, right?
So that's something that has definitely stood out to me in the last couple of conferences is I love that you guys are inviting sort of universities to participate in these collegiate programs, right, around security, cybersecurity and stuff like that to attend the conferences. And they ask the obvious question, which is like, I have kids in college who see this and they love this, but like they have no idea where to even start or that this is a career path. So, and I feel like that's come up in those intimate rooms where people are like afraid to ask that obvious kind of question is like, hey, I know a lot of people that would love to be here and do this and jump on this track. How do we gap that, right? Do you feel like that's something that you're attacking or addressing?
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, a key part of doing it was like, I know that like Northern Virginia Community College, George Mason, a lot of these universities have these pre-clearance or clearance readiness programs, but they don't have there's no textbook out there that you can give those. Like you can, and even that came up, it comes up at our conferences every time. The government does not make its own policies clear or talk about them in a way that's easy to understand. So I was thinking like if there could be a ready resource for these colleges, universities to pick up and say, hey, this is a one-stop shop that you can read, right? Because I know like piecemeal, you can pull it off the internet and all of that, but there's something about creating a program and having a book attached to it that is helpful, right? This has soup to nuts. We're going to talk a little bit about history. We're going to talk about little bit about, the guidelines and the process for obtaining a clearance. We're going to provide some anecdotes and stories to, hopefully. I had somebody come up at the conference yesterday. I was like, hey, you managed to mention both the Matrix and Scientology. It was a win. I was like, hey, I hope that wasn't offensive. He was like, no, it was great. Like, I like, you're pulling in people like context around it and not just reading, a boring government, document. And so that's, a big part of doing the book.
Yeah, and it's intimidating too. I think another big thing, coming from the outside looking in, the cleared community is, figuring out for the first time how many sort of intelligence agencies or security oriented, companies and the options available within that workforce. And I was just like, I've thought to myself for the last couple of years, like, how do people find out about these careers? Like, this is totally something that people just kind of get grandfathered into. It's like legacy. And how do we stop doing that? How do we, kind of spread our reach a little bit? Because like, I think most Americans are like, oh yeah, CIA, FBI, right? And it's like, here are the other 20 something intelligence agencies, right? And that you can work for that I would have never known about.
A big part of the book is talking about like how the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency or Department of Defense or Department of War or whatever, like a lot of the jobs are not intelligence community positions, right? And even supporting national security is not as simple as just having a top secret security clearance. There's a lot of people who do public trust work, right? I don't talk a ton about the public trust process, but I do note like that the world of working for the federal government involves vetting, and those positions can look different. And that is like a hope from the book, right? Is that there's folks, universities, individuals who are outside of the typical, DC metro area. I mean, my story, I came from a very small town in Iowa. Now, I was very motivated by 9/11 to go to DC, to go to college, to support national security in some capacity, but there was nothing about my upbringing that taught me anything about what it was actually like to work in national security or the security clearance process. I write about in the book, I didn't know I was getting a security clearance when I got one. I thought it was just I had to work for the Army, and they just really like paperwork, and they make you fill out, I don't think the term security clearance, I don't remember anybody telling me I was getting a security clearance. I knew I was getting, something. I was going on the inside. I knew I had to fill out those forms, but I literally thought it was a very robust background check, which it pretty much is, but I really did not understand what I was getting or what I was doing. And that's because nobody in my family ever had a security clearance. We weren't a part of that community. I just did not know what I was doing. Now, fortunately, I was young and fresh out of college and didn't have anything to lie about yet. So I was safe, but if I had, I could have totally jacked up filling that application. And so that is, my hope is, because I think there is a recruitment problem across the IC national security community now, that they're not thinking about the southern states, rural communities, more disadvantaged communities maybe, where there are a lot of folks that are brilliant, smart, capable, who aren't thinking, oh yeah, the government has a great job where I can make a really good salary and support national security. And I probably have skill sets, experiences, resilience, capacity that would really lend itself to supporting the government. And the security clearance could be a barrier for those folks if they don't understand it.
Absolutely. I mean, Aisha Bowe, one of your keynote speakers in Colorado Springs, really touched on that. She was like, hey, I came from community college and you guys did not recruit there. And I mean, she was talking to everybody, right? Not just the room, but yeah, I mean, I think it's up to people like you guys who pave that path, right? Who come from small rural towns around America to say, hey, I had no idea. I mean, I think you mentioned that to me one time, or mentioned it at one point, where you're like, had I known about how the IC community actually worked when I got here, I would have loved to do it differently, or as you said something kind of along those lines.
I wish I joined ROTC in college. There was a naval ROTC. See, Bob Sharp could have been so proud of me. I might have even joined the Navy. I don't know. I mean, I ended up joining Team Army because, that's who I met. But George Washington University had a naval ROTC program. I didn't know, but I was a conflict and security major when I went there. So a lot of my classes, I had all of these naval ROTC kids, and I was like, man, you just get to run every so often and put on and get your college paid for. Why didn't anybody tell me about that? But I just don't even remember. Now I remember my older brother getting contacted, there was an enlistment table. I don't know if it was just that rural, small town, gender difference, or it was just again, maybe my aperture. There was something about my dance team background that didn't speak to she's really going to be great for, the Navy. I don't know. And you didn't know. And honestly, most of the naval ROTC kids were the kids of, people who had been in uniform before. So they knew the route. Their parents were probably like, if you want to go here, this you're going to join ROTC. Yeah. I just nobody ever had that conversation with me. My path was great. I ended up, doing public affairs for the Army. I did what I wanted. I had a great college experience. All of that was fine. It's just it is funny how you don't know what you don't know, right? And you don't know about those opportunities. And I do think the more we can expand opportunity and awareness, that's just levels up everybody.
So it's kind of I want to go back to the family thing. We touched upon it. I think we'll make it a special or something, though we didn't really intro the podcast. We were just talking about family and everything, which is awesome. But kind of getting back to family, I'm having my first boy in two months, around there. I love seeing you just charge your career, your life as a mother. What advice would you have for me as a new parent? In this, as a young professional, as a as a young man?
Oh, you don't want to know. My advice is always, I'm a contrarian by nature, Jacob. Were you aware of this? So my advice is always like to don't take anybody's advice, because we're all biased in the advice we give, right? Like, I can't give you good advice because I'm an old woman compared to you. But my only like advice or takeaway is like, you are awesome. Like, you are an amazing gem of a human, Jacob. I know that about you. Taylor's also awesome.
Yeah.
I don't get to talk to Taylor. You're awesome. Whenever I see awesome people becoming parents, I get so excited for them, because kids are amazing. And I know like anybody that has the capacity to love is going to be a fantastic parent, because kids are so forgiving and so incredible. So I think there's so much like you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to you can do all kinds of crazy things as a parent. Like, you can, and it's your first, so you're going to do a lot of things. You're like, oh man, see, I had 4. By the time you get to 4, it's like pure anarchy. So but the first, you're trying really hard, you read the books, you're going to be great. And even if you do 15 things that you would not do with your second, that kid is going to be amazing, and he's going to love you, and it's going to be fantastic. So my only advice is just to enjoy it, and just know that you're going to be an amazing dad. So.
Thank you. I know that when you said you're a contrarian, that he was smiling. He probably was smiling, right? Because I think he would love to pull up a chair and talk about that with you.
Is he a contrarian?
Are you?
I would say so.
Yeah. No, well, taken, for sure, taken.
This is something that one of my old pastors used to say. Like, he's like, I hug hard because I hit hard. So I always feel that, because I always feel like I punch first and ask questions later sometimes. And I don't know. That's like, I've talked to Jill about this, right? Jill happens to work, and that's like, right, okay, I'm going to go back. We're going to make it full circle. Family, God, work, all the things. So the Lord has created this path for me in my career that I could not have seen coming. So I knew Jill Hamilton back when I was in Washington, D.C., went to church together, all of this.
Oh, wow.
Had an opportunity for her to start writing for ClearanceJobs, had the opportunity to hire her. Jill is someone who's I consider a spiritual mentor. She is someone who discipled me when I was in DC, and I think Jesus was you're gonna kind of have a hard life, middle age is gonna hit hard. You're gonna need Jill every day on Teams. And so now I get to work for her every day. And that's just that's happenstance, right? That's an evidence of God's grace. I didn't ask. And even my whole team is incredible.
Yes, they are.
And you don't get to pick, you're hiring people, and some of them could have been real jackwagons, and I probably would still work with them because HR would probably make me, but they just happen to be amazing. I'm what a gift that is, that you have a team of incredible people that you work with and are around all of the time. So that's just been just a huge evidence of grace. But yeah, our old pastor's I hug hard because I hit hard. Jill has encouraged me. Yeah, you might struggle a little bit with pride, but I also came out of an abusive marriage. That's my narrative. And there's things sometimes I'll share texts with her. He still says awful things, calls me awful names. When you're dealing with somebody and you're, and again, I got married at 23, which you talked about, and I was just an idiot. Some people are smart at 23. I was not.
Pretty dumb as well.
So I just didn't know. And then you're kind of you get in this very, very negative mental spin cycle. And so I've had, again, other people in career, sometimes it takes a certain amount of pride to actually get yourself out of that. And so now I sometimes, my first instinct is to go protective, right? And also having had to protect my kids, right? I circle the wagons first and ask questions later. And that's not always a great response.
Sure.
It's not
very Jesus-like.
It's not always a great response at work. If your first thing is what are you doing? So I always I'm trying to
You've been working on it for a long time.
Working on that, dialing that back. But that's too there's so much pressure now to have everything figured out at a certain age, stage, whatever. Don't we get everybody loves a good redemption story? Anybody watch Netflix lately? You don't have to have it all figured out. You can have a comeback at any time. You're never too old to work on soft skills, hard skills, all of it.
I think the fact that you're very conscious about your trust. I don't want to say trust issues. I think you're just you're conscious about needing and wanting to trust more. I think it comes off as it's a superpower, right? The fact that you're conscious about it. I think you I don't know if you're oh, it's a weakness of mine or it's something I'm working on. I think the fact that you're conscious about it it's like a flower, like it blossoms incredibly well within your organization, because it's something that I see, like in the way that I interact with Phoebe or Jill or anybody from your team. It's like they all kind of have that, they run with trust in them. And so I've been trying to figure it out for years. I'm just very analytical and strategic in my head. And, you know, I look at Art and Alex and I look at the organization. I'm like, how are they doing this? You know, like, where is this leadership? How are they cultivating this? Like, how are they enabling everybody to be so strong, like within what they do in the organization? You know, like for you, what do you think about that? You know, like, how is that culture being cultivated for you guys?
Yeah. Well, no, I think it's allowing a lot of like autonomy and allowing, you know, folks to work and do their work well. And, you know, I think Bob Sharp had a phrase like he'd rather rein in stallions than kick jackasses. Did he say jackasses? I don't know. Like he'd rather rein in stallions. And I think that's also the culture that Art and Alex have. They want to see good ideas. They want to see good ideas come from different places. They allow a pretty high degree of autonomy within teams. And that structure has really helped to serve, you know, ClearanceJobs well. I mean, they live the core values themselves, right? Of like humility and that's what I will say, ClearanceJobs has allowed me to build an amazing community, but that's been born out of the fact that I will ask anybody for anything. And I think that if I have like career advice or tips, like take the shot. I think there's a lot of hesitancy like for people to reach out. And I think because people are always like, how do you get people to respond to your emails? I was like, well, I email them and I ask and I see and I try to be nice about it, right? Because I'm like, I know that if I'm asking retired Admiral, as he always reminds me of, Admiral Bob Sharp for something, that comes at a cost for him, right? His time is very valuable. He has a lot going on. He has a lot of ways he can serve. If he's going to help ClearanceJobs with national security hiring or speak at a conference or come to San Diego for an event, that's a big ask, but just ask, you know? They might say no, they might not be able to participate. And I think, you know, the vulnerability of that too, right? I think sometimes people are afraid to shoot the shot because they don't want to get the no. Like I've gotten a lot of no's. I have a lot of people who don't respond to me or who haven't, but I have a lot of people who have. And I think being willing to be the person that makes the ask, and every organization needs that. Every organization needs to have somebody who's willing to make the ask. But it does make a difference who it is. People can smell whether you're doing it for for selfish reasons,
gain, right?
Or if you're doing it because you actually have mutual respect and concern about a topic. And I think that is a part of the special sauce of ClearanceJobs, that we know that working with people who work in national security is a special calling. It is a special mission. These are people that have trust as a currency for them, and we hold their trust by being a career platform for them. They're trusting us with information about their jobs, their careers, their livelihoods. Being able to get somebody a job is important. And can you protect your family? Can you provide? So we take that seriously, and we know that it's a serious job. And I think other people want to come alongside and help do that. And we're not just doing it in a transactional way. We are constantly, continually thinking about how we can actually make the process easier, make it better. Like, we want our customers to feel like we're partnering with them. We are for them. We are for the candidates who are using our site. And people can tell when you're doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you basically, that was my next question, which the secret sauce. You know, I think I was literally going to ask you, like, what do you think? What is the reason you can be confident when you ask somebody like Bob Sharp or you know, Alan to be a part of the advisory board, or, you know, and I think it is a shared mission, right? And you having that, because I think a lot of it is unspoken, that wisdom of what the mission is, right? You can sense in somebody if they're mission aligned as well. You can just sense it, right? Like in the way they talk or what their motivations are and stuff. And so I guess I kind of want to go into that, right? Like mission. What is the mission of Lindy Kyzer?
Lindy Kyzer. Oh, I want to be happy and glorify God every day. That's like, what is it? The chief end of man is to glorify God and enjoy him forever. Like that's like one of the catechisms that I speak. So I do try to like lead with joy. People have said that joy is my superpower. So I try to do everything I can with some degree of like energy, happiness. And because I think that's like encourages people to, even with our advisory board, like it's going to be an advisory board. So there might be boring parts about it, but I'm going to make it a little fun because why not? Like we only have so much time. Can we have a little more fun with what we do? I feel like that's one of the things that I try to do. So, my mission mindset is like, how do I, glorify God and take care of my kids fundamentally. And I'm very grateful that my job allows me to take care of my kids. And I'm like, have been, super grateful for that. And I get to have fun. I don't have to pretend like, oh, I'm just working to pay my bills. Like, no, I have a super fun job. I really like it. I enjoy it. But ultimately, if I couldn't provide for my family, I also wouldn't do it. I think sometimes we can too sucked into like the passion train, right? I want to do what I'm passionate about. You also need to do something that gives you the capacity to provide and meet your basic needs. And sometimes those have to ebb and flow, right? I mean, because I've seen people, sometimes you just have to do the job that you don't want to do to provide for a season to get you to doing the job that you're super passionate about. I'm fortunate that I'm in a place where I'm doing both right now, but that hasn't always been the case at every, aspect or part of my career job.
Did you have dreams? Like, did you want to be a famous dancer?
I mean, I was too short to be a Rockette, so it really crushed my dreams. I was unsure of what to do next. No, I don't think I ever known what I'm going to do next. Is that bad? Because when I went to school in GW, my plan was to go to law school. And then I was like, well, pass, don't want to do that. I met a colonel in the Army, and he was like, you can come work for the Army and do public affairs as a civilian. I was like, well, that sounds fun. I'll do that. So I applied and did that next. And yeah, and then I quit that job with abandon. I was going to be a consultant because in DC, you can just put consultant on a business card and no one will even question what you're doing. So I was going to sit home and be a stay-at-home mom and eat a lot of Dairy Queen, and I did that for a while, and that was fantastic. And then ClearanceJobs literally reached out and offered me a job. So I didn't even have to, again, the Lord provided that, right? I didn't even have to proactively look for that. They offered me an opportunity. And then 15 years later, but even career progression at ClearanceJobs, I would have said there's probably the first 10 years there, for me to be in a leadership position at ClearanceJobs is something I would have been like, never, that's not gonna happen. I'm just providing for my family. Right. I'm doing a job that allows me to take care of them. It's just been the past few years, I'm like, oh no, I can write a book. Who knows what I'll do next? I don't know. Living one day at a time helps with that. You don't have to have a 5-year plan.
Yeah, I just want to celebrate you. I'm glad that we get to do this because I think you're an amazing person and I have so much respect for you. And I'll be frank, I didn't know you were a single mother until you told me today. And like, my heart just kind of like grew a little bit bigger for you. My mom was a single mother. She, divorced my dad when I was 5, and I saw her work 2 jobs in a season and struggle with work and daycare. And there's just a special place in my heart for single mothers, and you do such an amazing job with your kids. I love seeing them. I love seeing how much you bring them around. I think that's so powerful. And I just want to like put that out there, right? Like, yeah. Don't hide your kids. Like,
yeah. Well, and I would, now I'm gonna cry thinking about your mom, because I am super grateful that I have been able to, that ClearanceJobs has enabled me to have my kids with me, right? And I do feel like if there's a subtle cultural shift, I can say it was like, I feel like I'm pretty good at my job. I think I'm doing well for ClearanceJobs, right? Like, oh, yeah. I'm doing well for them, but I'm also, all of my photos from my Christmas card last year were me on work trips with my kids. Colorado, Orlando. I was like, thank you, Art Zaley, for all of the vacations. But it's also like, I'm working hard and then and bringing my kids along with me. And I hope more companies allow people to do both, because it is impossibly hard to be a single parent. It is so hard. I do not wish it on anyone. I hope, but sometimes we don't always get choices, right? We don't always have the choice of the path that we're on. And I hope both parents, any parent feels supported if you are doing that super hard job, because I feel like traditionally it has been very much a burdened single mom trying to like provide and get her kids places, and workplaces have not always shown the grace that mine has, and saying like, my kids are, you want another Bob Sharp story? So the first time I was on a video call with Bob Sharp, I was trying to convince him to be on our advisory board. He's kind of a big deal. I'm on the video call. August Bear Kyzer likes to sleep in underpants in the summer because, it gets hot in the Midwest. And so he likes to wear a tactical blanket, but he doesn't realize that if you put the blanket only over your shoulders, you just look like
they're all
Superman in your underpants.
Yeah, correct.
So I'm in a morning video call. August had woke, probably 8, Bob was up at like 4:30. So I think we were on the phone probably at like 8 a.m. my time or something. August walks into the room, tactical suit on. Admiral Bob Sharp's right there. Retired Admiral Bob Sharp right there on the phone. He's like, I tried to convince my wife that underwear were shorts too, and she wouldn't let me go to the mailbox. Like, just very rolls it off. And honestly, most people are like that. But I do think, to the point that somebody made at this conference, like, it takes a lot of mental capacity to have to hide the fact that you're a parent to feel like you can get ahead. And I just hope, especially people who are like single parents or struggling, don't feel that. And I hope like there could be more collective resources to help people and companies to help people to do the hard job, but super important job of parenting. Because people are like, we have a kid deficit, we need more kids. It's like, well, then companies need to step up and make it easy, to work and have kids at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's crazy because me and Katie are literally talking about what she's gonna do after her pregnancy leave or whatever is up, right? Like 3 to 6 month period, and then she's already thinking like, I want to raise my kids, I want to be with my kids, and I don't want to have to make choices about how they're raised. And so even having me too, right, like stay-at-home dad or working remotely from home, it's like we're thinking about those things. And so, what I'm sure you have some really strong opinions about what the workplace can do better to provide an environment like that, right? And I think, like, my first guess is probably just be a lot more understanding, right? Because you honestly don't know what's going to be going wrong or like what's going to be happening at school. And so walking out the door at 2 or walking out the door at 9 or some days 4 times a day or whatever, right? Like, it's probably just like, hey, just believe me when I say I'm doing everything I can, and I'm working hard and I'll work late, but like some days it's just like some days are just gone, right?
Yeah. Well, trust, right? It goes back to like the theme of the conference that we had. Do you trust your employees? If you can't trust your employees to do their jobs, you have baseline issues already. But if you trust them to do it, and that's what ClearanceJobs hired me with, a great degree of trust. I remember when I was having the first conversations with like the founder and president, Evan Lesser, I was very much like, I don't want to work full time. I don't think I can do this. I got a Wednesday morning Bible study. It's really important to me. And Evan was very directly like, you can do all of that. Like, you can work when it works for you. We will try. It's like you have a very results oriented job. You're producing content, you're producing things. The newsletter is either done or it isn't. So you can do that on your own time. And not every job has that flexibility, right? We still need nurses and doctors and people, but even in those roles, sometimes there's more flexibility, and people need to be willing to ask for it, and companies need to be willing to provide it to have a good workforce. So I was like, make the ask, for flexibility. The worst they can do is say no, and then try to find a company culture that has values, because if they have values of trust and empathy and kindness at all, then they should be understanding about the need for some degree of flexibility as a parent. And then also build your community. Like, okay, so I said I wasn't going to give you advice, but it was helpful for me as a working parent. I had a couple of other moms that I could ask to take the kids, like take my kids in an emergency, right? And now that's hard, but having like a who are my ride or die people, right? If an important work call comes up, or if I need to travel, or if I need to do something, who are my support networks? And I do feel like collectively, if we want to talk like broad culture, we've gotten worse about that as a culture, right? The whole like, we don't know our neighbors as much. We don't trust our neighbors, and we do know them.
You stay over there.
Yeah. So I think knowing like who are your people that you can come alongside, and then I'd love, like the nanny shares or the child care shares, like we're going to swap. I had another mom who was like that. Like I would watch her daughter for a few hours, and then she would watch my son, and we could kind of rotate back and forth. And like kind of that community collaboration was like, oh, we can do this. And then we can both, do what we need to do.
So I think you have to write a book on, being a mother. I bet there's a lot of gems in there.
Oh, my kids will have to that'll be a heavy critique. Literally, Sam. So I have my daughter Sam last night. She's like, I was coming back from the conference. She's like, Mom, I actually don't know what you do. I was like, yeah, maybe.
Wait, how old is she?
13.
Perfect.
She's like, maybe you should read my book. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what I do either. I go out and have fun. I mean, I think they're like, you're going to receptions, like we're eating like sushi on the beach. What is your job exactly?
I think that's flattering. I think she meant it in a flattering, because she was kind of like, this looks good, right?
This looks not like a job. I don't think you actually work. Yeah. I think that is like, if you can find some way, and this is me, I have personality bias, right? Not everybody has to, be a fountain of joy and pride and punching people at the same time. I have all three. But I feel like there is something, I try to enjoy what I do, and I think that's contagious, and people then see it. And even now, it can't always be. I mean, then it's not a job if there aren't people that annoy you sometimes. But to try to find some joy in what you do, even if it's like a tiny sliver of joy. Like I'm all about stealing. Yeah, that's why I always tell my friends who are like having a hard, like, what morning coffee can really do a lot for me. If I'm having like just a cup of coffee, like what is your next motivating factor?
Yeah.
Look for that.
Yeah.
And try to like enjoy it. And then I think that's, happier, better.
So, I know that you put your faith in God for tomorrow, and I think there's this, and it's actually like everywhere. It's not just in this industry, but worrying about the future, worrying about your job next year, a promotion or retirement or transition, right? How have you navigated that personally, year to year?
I mean, it's tough. It's been a struggle, right? I mean, single parenting is hard. And so I will say, like, in case like my boss ever watches this and like, you're not content. You're actually not that content. You've actually told me I have to give you more money so you can pay your bills. And I have.
Yeah.
So both.
Ask and receive.
Yeah, so be content, but also be willing to ask. And I have been. Like I have seen where or ask for if I feel like I'm bringing extra value. So just from a career step, like I've been willing to say like, hey, I brought this to the company. I need something more. And then for me, it's very personally motivated because I'm not just like, it's not like I'm trying to afford a beach home. It's like, no, I need to like, I'm motivated to pay my mortgage, like to be able to keep, my kids in their activities to get to the next thing. But also too, I think sometimes it is, sufficient for the day is its own struggle. Like I do think sometimes with career paths and planning, I see that a lot now. People had a strong vision for what they thought their career was going to be. And sometimes it takes a hard pivot. And like for me, just like I never envisioned doing what I'm doing now. Like I always tell the story, I was an editor at ClearanceJobs for 8 years. Anybody else would have told me spending 8 years in the same job, ridiculous. I feel like there's a lot of like, I got to do the next thing, or I need the next.
Yeah.
But in that season, that allowed me to raise my kids, to do, it wasn't a job that I would have thought I would have been doing, but it provided for that season. So I think sometimes we overanalyze and over-worry about the next thing. Focus on what you actually need now and what is truly like ultimately important. Do you need to pay your mortgage now? Do you not? Do you need to take a pay cut and do something that you're going to enjoy more? Like that, and that will change in different seasons of life, and that's okay. Like you don't have to have this. And then also it's okay to move too. Like I think relocation can be big. Sometimes people get very tied to like, I have to live in the DC metro, or I have to, And I see a lot of that now, and I'm like, you might need to explore other locations or other places just to find the opportunity, cost of living, all of that. Now, I don't know for sure, but I think sometimes when you have a very narrow focus on what success will look like, it makes it really hard to find success versus if you are open to things that you wouldn't have thought about, it makes it easier.
Where do you think that you got that boldness from? Because I mean, I feel like that's a theme that it's there, it's in you. Like parents, like upbringing, like was it in college? Did you acquire more of it? Like, but you definitely have like this boldness in there, right? Even with asking for speakers and confidence and like, you know, where do you think that came from?
Probably my parents. My dad is one of the most tenacious people I've ever met. Like he would ask for anything, he would do anything. He was the hardest working person I'd ever met. He always worked super hard. He's like classic Midwestern, like, you know, not a lot of like, it was all action. I was telling the story, like he used to, when I lived in DC for college, he would drive 20 hours straight shot because he used to be a truck driver to help me move. Just at once. And then help me move and then drive back. It was like, I was like, what is this? But he hustled. And he was, you know, he was an auctioneer. He loved to speak. And I sometimes in my car I practice auctioneering.
Yeah.
Why I talk so fast. Jacob.
Yes.
So that's like I grew up with. I think in that, you know, he was like small town of 1,000, small business owner, knew everybody.
Yeah.
People liked him. Had that kind of like, you know, leading in our town, helping everybody out. Every time it snowed, he took a tractor out and plowed every driveway, you know, within the vicinity. That was just who he was. And so I think he grew up with that notion of like, I'm going to work hard. And I'm also, you know, I just feel like I sense that he could have done anything. And I think that gave me the capacity to be like, well, maybe I could do anything.
Yeah, that's cool. He sounds like an awesome man and like you got a lot out of him.
Yeah.
I think as we kind of wind down, how can we support you, our listeners, anybody who's watching this? How can we support Lindy Kyzer and your world? What can we do? Where can we reach you?
Oh, well, you can go to lindykyzer.me and you can buy my book if you want, or you can follow me at ClearanceJobs. You can just Google Lindy Kyzer and I'm everywhere. That's what my kids said, you're low-key famous, Mom. I was like, yeah, you can Google me, you find like all kinds of embarrassing pictures that I've personally individually posted and allowed to be on the internet, and articles and resources. So yeah, I mean, I always love to hear from folks. So I do personally see everybody who buys a book, and then I also send them a friendship bracelet. So if you want a friendship bracelet, you can buy the book.
That's awesome.
And that's even Ellen McCarthy was like, for the love of Pete, how do you have time to make friendship bracelets? What is happening? And I was like, in all my dad's like therapy, friendship bracelets. I just like string them together, and then every book is like mailed with love, because if you buy a book from my website, I put a friendship bracelet inside it.
Holy mackerel.
I know. So John Rossenwasser is a part of our advisory board. He was like the chief finance guy at OD&I, and he was like, I really want to read your book. I was like, I carry copies with me now. So I was like, I have it in my room. So I brought him, he was like waiting downstairs in the lobby to get a copy of my book. Now he's probably going to redline it and like have 55 things he would have changed, but I will take that. Just the fact that somebody who that is a final take of the book. Somebody that I respect professionally respects me enough to like read the book. And even if they have things where like, I probably would have done this different or that, like I can accept that and I appreciate that. But the fact that people are willing to read it is like,
means the world.
Kind of makes me cry a little bit.
Yeah, it means the world.
I was thinking, and back to the single parent thing. Like my work has been a source of affirmation for me, and I do feel like I feel bad because most single parents don't get a lot of positive affirmation. You feel like you're doing bad all the time. Now maybe like, I hope there's probably people that are better than me, but I feel like I've given my kids a gap that I can't fill because I feel really terrible that they don't have a dad in their life more, and so I feel that gap. I feel like I have a giant hole all of the time.
It's called a void.
A void. Yep. And it's a true void, right? Because two parents are supposed to raise kids,
yep.
And that's the better path. But if you don't have that, where are you getting affirmation? I think a lot of people are searching for it in negative ways. I'm
Yes.
eternally grateful that my work is provided a positive way. I don't have to do cocaine. I'm on clearance jobs.
You don't.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe don't use that.
Should we?
Yeah.
I guess that's the soundbite
That's
trailer right
soundbite.
there.
That's
I don't-
right. Yeah, I don't. I have a work network, so I don't have. But it's true. You see it. I mean, like you can search for affirmation a lot of, and I think work is a positive. You can make an idol out of anything, right? So I'm very careful about that.
Yes.
I don't want my work to be an idol, but I think it's actually been a very positive affirmation for me because we all want to be known and seen and loved somewhere. And we know that Jesus does it, but you want people to do it. Yeah. And my work community really has in like a very beautiful way.
Healthy way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried to do the same with my business over the last year and a half. I took the leap of faith in fully giving my business over to God. And my whole dilemma was like, how do you operate and own a business and give it all to God? Like, it's like I should be out cold calling people, or I should be out networking, and I should be out like sending, our RFPs, responding to RFPs and stuff. But he has done so much more for my business, and it's required a lot of faith, but it's been awesome. And he's done so much healing in my life in other ways, right? Like it's not all business related. And I think that's how we are, like for me, how I have been able to not make my business an idol, right? It's like, I know that it provides for me. I know that I'm in the season. I know that I'm called to steward it and cultivate it, right? And work hard. But he has a way of like, hey, give this to me and I'm going to bless you in this area of your life where you actually need help with people or with healing or spiritually strengthening, and it's through people, right? He sends his people and they provide different things in different seasons. So I can totally, I can see that with you and like Jill. And I have loved working with her too over the last two or so conferences. She's been awesome.
Yeah, people level up. Isn't that funny? Because I love, and I feel like it's been fun for me. I forget sometimes now I'm a vice president at ClearanceJobs, but then I'm reminded of when I see people like telling Jill to do things that they used to tell me to do, and I was like, man, it's great to be in leadership.
It has its days though, okay? It has its
Because then
days.
it's just like, oh, they're asking Jill gets to do that now. No, I don't have to. That's not bad.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Lindy, for sitting down with us. I'm just super stoked, super proud of you. I'm super grateful that you made time to talk with us today. And I hope that you guys can support Lindy, check her book out, reach out. She'll connect with you on LinkedIn, I'm sure. May not respond to all your messages, but all right, thank you, and God bless you.
Oh, thank you, Jacob. You're a delight. I appreciate you. It's amazing how, again, like amazing people come into our communities and our lives, and it's not happenstance. So you are absolutely one of those incredible people to work with and be around. So thank you.